is Rowena Dooley asking Sol citizens to report for duty. Rowena Dooley asking Sol citizens to report for duty.
And greetings. Welcome back to the Soul Citizens. I'm GriffinGamingRPG, and we are back today, July the 2nd, Colossal, second day of July, 2023. We're halfway through the year. How are you, my friend? I'm welcoming Kelosal here. How are you, buddy?
Doing fantastic. Happy July to you, and happy 4th of July to everyone for the 4th of July, celebrating American independence and independence for everyone. So have a wonderful, safe week, and be safe out there, everybody, because there's a lot of crazy people out in the world, but enjoy your independence.
It's a lot of crazy people in here too. So, but, no, it's good to see you, man. We also have joining us Kalrati. Kalrati is still working, so he is on with us. He's just stepped away because he's trying to finish up some. That really is something to me. He has to work on Sundays a lot of times that they pull him. So, you know, he definitely wants to be on with us. So we're going to have him on in just a second. But today we are back with a show titled Station to Station. And as you saw, Colossal, I don't know, did you watch ISC, or was that the first time you saw the video when we just showed it now?
No, this is the third. Yeah.
Okay, so you've seen it. Okay.
It was fantastic.
So now you've been
legendary.
Okay, now you've been around. You've been around for a while, and we're going to be talking about space stations. But real quick, any reflections? Oh wow, somebody's already subscribing. Thank you so much for that sub. I didn't see who it was. Oh, Thrakazog. Faithful, old faithful Thrakazog. Thank you, Thrakazog. Thanks for that community sub as a gift. Thank you. Let me ask you this, Colossal. You've been around a long time like me. What does it mean to you? I'm not trying to get all sentimental, but what does it mean to you when you see Port O is going to, I'm not going to say go away, but what I'm going to say is that it's going to change, right? I mean, it was like the birthplace of us launching into the Star Citizen universe and the PU. What are your feelings about, its usefulness, what it's been all this time?
Usefulness. It's outlived its usefulness. It's past its twilight years.
Yeah.
It's a ADT. It's about their time. So I mean, it's just Port Olisar. I mean, well, as far as those of us who've been in the game for a long time, I mean, Port Olisar was the main hub. At one point it was the largest station in Stanton. At one point, before they started putting in the other stations like a Port Tressler and things like that and so forth.
It was our only spawning point, right? At one point, I mean, that's where you came in was Port O back in the day.
Yeah, it's where you came in. It's almost like it was home, for a lot of us.
Yeah.
But as the game evolves, so did Port Olisar not evolve. and so it's just I love the way how CIG was able to finally tell us that this is what their plans for Port Olisar was in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah. I agree. Hey, listen, I want to do a quick shout out. Kalrati's here now. Kalrati, how are you, my friend?
I am good. Happy to be here. Sorry for the late arrival. But
no, that's okay. We know you're doing the do. I wanted to first of all say hi, welcome Kalrati, y'all, because he's here. But I want to give a shout out to somebody in particular. I know I'm not trying to embarrass him, but I want to give a shout out to Stoutman. You guys check him out. I just put a shout out to him. You all follow Stoutman. Stoutman is one of the OGs when it comes to content creators for Star Citizen. I remember when I was first learning about the game and I was working the midnight shift and he didn't know who I was. I think I scared him actually when I first met him. But I watched this man for like 2-3 years working the night shift. That was a way for me to pass time. And he would be on streaming Star Citizen when very few people were doing it. In fact, I remember Stoutman, you might even remember this. You used to make the little dashboard bobbleheads. This is way before anybody else was doing that stuff. And he would have his whole dashboard on his freelancer or whatever decked out with these bobbleheads. But I remember Kelosal meeting him in 2016. And you know how it is, like when you watch somebody on screen for a while, you actually like feel like you know them. Mm-hmm. So I walked up to him like as if I knew this guy, you know what I mean? And he looked at me like, who the heck are you? You know what I mean? And I had to kind of connect. And, you feel kind of funny because it's like, I watch you every night, man. And he's like, yeah. And I'm sure he was being nice. He probably didn't remember who I was. But I used to, text him in the game and everything. But it was so cool to meet him. And it's so great to see that you're still out there, Stoutman. So shout outs to you, man. You're one of the people that inspired a lot of us in Star Citizen. So you said you knew me once you saw my screen name. Well, that's good. Which was great, but I don't want to embarrass them, but I really do want to pay homage to these guys that inspired a lot of us to play the game, stay in the game. And back then I never thought I'd be streaming the game. So hats off to you, buddy. And thanks for stopping by. We've had him on the show before, but haven't seen him in a bit. So I'm glad to see him. Kalrati, we opened up. I don't know if did you see the opening or did you miss it?
I did.
Okay.
I did.
And I was getting some feelings about the whole idea of Port O, as we called it yesterday on the show. Port O has got to go. But what are your feelings about? You got any warm feelings? Are you happy to see the transition? What are you thinking?
We human beings always love destruction, man, when it comes to any end. So I, for one, really hope that when they do pay proper homage to Port Olisar, it goes out in the bang. But of course, I totally understand that they decided to go that route for now. Mm-hmm. But I do look forward to. I do remember when I first saw that video in ATV, mm-hmm. and I think that may have been one of the hints, one of the inspirations for people thinking, okay, this is how Port Olisar is probably going to go out. Who knows? There could be a Vandal invasion or some kind of game event. Mm-hmm. So I feel like it would be nice. When they do have the resources, and who knows when that comes, for that kind of event to actually happen. I mean, it could be like a destructive thing. It could be something else. Who knows? It could be different mission decisions or mission routes. Yeah. So different people can see it go in different ways, but the end is still the same. Yeah. Depending on what mission or what chart you're in, who knows? But it would be cool to see it end in a proper way.
Yeah. I'm curious. I know there have been people who've been wanting some type of in-game something to make it happen. You know what the problem with that is, though, is that there'll be some people awake and somebody in bed, and they'll miss out on it. You know what I mean? That's the. I mean, if it's in real time, you know what I mean. If it's in real time, you know, maybe they will allow it to have just what we saw in the video, something like a slow decay into orbit, right, where the thing actually starts to go down, and you can still get on it, but that sucker's on its way down. You know, something I don't know, but you know, for everybody to be able to witness something happening. Of course, it would be great if there was an NPC Vandal ship that did what the video did, and just. But again, there are gonna be people asleep. You know, probably be me with my luck. You know, people in the UK will see it and I'll miss it. You know,
I would like to challenge the community if that happens. You know, if that happens, everybody go ahead and get their ships and line up and tell them
to get up, right? Tell them to wake up, set your alarm clock, right?
And start throwing off flares when it does go someplace.
Yeah,
you know, it'll blow up. It'll break the system. It might break the server. You never know.
There you go. Yeah,
something similar. I think Epic Games had a challenge to do this in Fortnite. It was at the end of some kind of world or so, many years ago. This was before pandemic, so like 5 or so years ago, and I think the event lasted for the entire day or 12 hours. So even if you weren't able to actually see the very end, you still had a chance, no matter what time zone you were in, to at least tune in and log into the game and witness some part of the event. So like you said, Griff, it could be a long-winded thing. We may not, depending on which time zone we're in, may not get to actually see the end or the beginning, but at least we'll be able to experience the journey from the start of the destruction or the start of the end or beginning of the end to the actual end.
The end. Yeah, that would be cool. It would be cool.
I don't even throw any salt wounds and any injuries or anything, but didn't they do something like that with Star Wars Galaxy, Griff, when it ended?
They didn't. No, they did.
Wasn't there Vader, presence?
Yeah, well, they did a whole thing at the end where they told everybody. By the way, thank you for Exilium. Thank you for the 100 bits. Really appreciate that. And Vengeful, good to see you. Thank you for that resub for 31 months. We appreciate that. We're on a hype train. Thank you, guys. You guys are kicking us off good. Yeah, remember they did a big celebration at the end, like you said, Kelosal, where the people were firing off fireworks. They were flying their ships around, and people just kind of hung out like for a whole freaking 12 hours as Star Wars Galaxy's servers started to shut down. It was there's actually stuff on YouTube of watching it. It's pretty cool to see. For me, Port O, and I know, guys, our subject is going to be station to station. We'll talk about that in the description section, but I do want to say this about Port O. Port O was the launching point for us getting out of Arena Commander. It was the place where everybody spawned. You ran down the stairs. Eventually, you learned how to jump through that little window, so you didn't have to run down all the stairs. You got your ship. Some of the memories I remember was when places like Grimhex came into play. Some people tried to take that route all the way from Port O to Grimhex without using Quantum. I remember when the Starfarer came into the game, someone would spawn their Starfarer at Port O and it would shut the whole server down, right? I mean, there's a lot of stuff. And of course, in later days, Kelosal, to your point, Port O became more nefarious because of things like pad ramming. But that has kind of changed for a little bit too.
I remember someone got to use, or it was 3 people in the 2.x days. 2 people, or 2 or 3 people got to actually use their rifles in the station.
Oh yeah.
So there were other people trying to figure out how to use it so that they can combat them.
Absolutely.
It was a scene.
It was crazy. Stout Man, thank you so much for that sub. We really appreciate that. And you guys don't forget to follow Stout Man. All right, follow Stout Man. Okay, so let's jump into it, guys. We want to open up a little fun aspect about, the thing with Port O going, but we want to talk about today station to station and the importance of space stations in Star Citizen. Now, this is going to be kind of a combination of what CIG has shared, what CIG has implied, and also we're going to talk about things that we want to see happen in relation to the stations. Kalrati, when we opened up, when you were gone, I was telling Kelosal, before we got the show going, that there's a lot of conversations about like, oh, this is what I'm going to do when I get in my ship, right? Or there's a lot of statements about this is what I'm going to do when I build my base. But one of the things you don't hear too many people talking about is station life, right? And the idea that space stations will be more than just places where you get gas or grab a hot dog. But CIG seems to be wanting to build stations out into something a little bit more. And I think we first saw the first hints with that, like with the cargo deck. But when they showed us this new revamping of Port O, we saw it even more expanded. And we're going to get into that conversation. So I'm going to kind of migrate into that. I do want to once again reemphasize the fact that we are doing a charity fundraiser for St. Jude Children's Hospital. Today, we're going to be doing a giveaway. Why? Because as our show ended last week, you guys hit our next milestone. Our first milestone was $500. Within 3 weeks, you guys got us to $1,000. And that's great. Our goal is $10,000. And so we gave away our first giveaway at $500. This week, we're going to be giving away what we call a Chairman's Club package. For those of you who are not concierge, a Chairman's Club package are items that you can only get if you're in the Chairman's Club or concierge. We're going to be giving away the Chairman's Club bag, the Chairman's Club shirt, the Chairman Club's keychain, Chairman Club hat, if I'm not mistaken. And that's all going to go to a single winner today. So you guys hang around for the end of the show, because that's where that's going to come up. And you'll be able to, we'll give you the information for how you get into the giveaway for it. But we really want to thank those of you who've already given. If you've given already, let somebody else know about what we're doing here with the fundraising for St. Jude Children's Hospital. Turn them on to Soul Citizens. And we got some time for that. So we're going to do that. All right. And we'll show a little promo later too. Okay.
Just so you'll know, also, all player haters wear some aspect of the chairman package. So if you do decide to win it, you will be honorary player hater.
Honorary player hater. Okay, put him in the player haters club. All right. Well, we actually should start like a player haters club. That would be interesting to see whether or not we can get some player haters going. All right. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and jump into this. Okay. Let's talk about this whole thing with station to station. We're going to show you guys some videos. Some of these videos that we're going to be showing you guys are actually real world videos. And we're not doing this for comparison's sake, but we are doing it to talk about what life on a station is really like. So we found some footage from NASA dealing with the International Space Station. And we want to show you just some clips every once in a while. We're going to take a break and talk about them. But we've already talked a little bit about Port O before we get into Grimhex, because we're going to talk about Grimhex next. But Kelosal, if you don't mind, would you read that description for Port Olisar, and then we'll talk about that. Then we'll jump into Grimhex.
Port Olisar. Port Olisar. Let's see. Located in the trade lanes above Crusader, Port Olisar offers a breathtaking view of the gas giant below. Owned and operated by Crusader Industries, Port Olisar acts as a gateway to companies' vast planetary holdings and orbital shipyards. The station hosts a spaceport for calling ships to the pads, an administration deck for deliveries, and a variety of shops stocking clothes, weapons, ship components, and armor. So let me destroy it. There you go.
Okay. For Port O being where it is, Kelosal, I'll go to you first. Now hit Kalrati. What are the negatives about Port O, the way its design is now, in relation to it being the orbital station for Crusader, for Orison? What are some reasons why you think they definitely need to, as you put it, it needs to be redone, revamped?
Well, now you don't have any types of medical facilities there. That's probably the number one reason. You can't, as soon as you get off the ship, you have to just, there's really no beds there, honestly, unless you're going to get just, that the type of facility that you see over there at Orison, or even at Grimhex. Grimhex has a medical facility. Port Olisar does not. Before Grimhex came out, Port Olisar was just the place to be. Yeah. Now Grimhex came out. Grimhex has had a rework. Grimhex has a medical facility. Port Olisar doesn't. You have to jump from pad to strut to strut. There is no corridor that leads you to the next area. And a lot of times when we all joined in, when we first joined in the game, it was like, Griff, where are you at? I'm at strut D. Well, Kalrati, where you at? I'm at strut A. So now you got to go ahead and jump between struts, EVA out, or things like that, and so forth.
Let me cut you off there, because for folks who weren't around back in the day, thank you, Will C, for that sub. Thank you for that prime sub. Appreciate that. What Kolosal's describing, because we don't do this now, when you used to spawn into Port Olisar, you could have spawned into any one of the 4 decks that were there, A, B, C, or D. Everybody didn't spawn into pawn A. So if all of us jumped in the game, I might have came in A, Kelosal in B, Kalrati in C. We're all going to fly in Kolosal's Carrack. We didn't have Carracks back then. Let's say you're Connie. Me and Kalrati would have to EVA from our pads over to where he was at to be able to get in his ship. Or what would you do, Kelosal? You'd fly over to the pads and pick us up, right? That was the other alternative, right?
Right.
So y'all think it takes long to get started now. You should have been around back then, right?
Absolutely. And I think, of course, obviously, one of the biggest things, obviously, when they put the law system in was panoramic prior to putting the law system in.
Yeah.
It kind of mitigated that a little bit.
Yeah.
But that was the biggest thing. Nobody had a safe hangar versus a pad to go ahead and launch off of.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Kalrati, what about you? What do you see that's deficient at the current Port Olisar that, based upon Crusader, based upon Orison, we definitely that it needs to be upgraded?
So from what I recall, outside of Port Olisar, we only have 3 cargo decks. And that's not even enough for testing Hull C gameplay, right? We don't know. I mean, let's assume that nothing really changes and we only get to test scrap. At least Port Olisar will be able to offer an additional point of interest for cargo, especially for around Crusader. We don't know if they're going to, or what plans they have with regards to future cargo gameplay and economy gameplay. Yeah. And having some point around Crusader space to be able to support that is extremely important, because you're literally, if they kept Port Olisar at least as the main hub for cargo, Crusader, you're cutting an entire planetary section off the Santon system map, for their future plans. And I heard that in the ISC, they also mentioned Bounty Hunter V2 gameplay. Yeah. It makes me wonder, how that actually is going to come in play, because correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think they explained, at least recently,
yeah, they did.
Of the monthly report.
Yeah, they did.
Monthly report?
Yeah, nope. Think back.
Really?
You saw it. Now I'll tell you what it was. And as soon as I tell you, you're going to remember.
Oh, man.
Remember when they showed us the new way you're going to bring in prisoners?
Oh, yes. Okay, I remember. Yeah, with the interiors and the okay. I remember now. So yeah, okay. So I guess they really needed to replace it, because I remember watching in another stream from another content creator, Elliot, one of the mission designers. He said that they needed to get Port Olisar out ASAP. I don't know if it was because of a technical issue or a requirement, but he said they had to get it out ASAP. Yep. So for who knows why, but I guess for 320 or maybe sometime close after that, we will know why.
Absolutely.
And I do want to give some love to Kalrati, because there is a new spot over there, the new Port Olisar or Seraphim. There's a bounty hunting area, and that's being built over there. So I just want to give a shout out to Kalrati on that one.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you're doing that,
man.
Yeah, I'm glad you're doing that. And think about it, right? All the orbital stations have that area. The area we're talking about, gang, is when we have Invictus, where you see the javelins pull in. They said that is going to become the security area. So that's the UEE area. So when you're doing a bounty, when you want to deliver, thank you, Corinthian, when you want to drop off those bounty pods, that's where the jail cells and things like that will be. So there's another aspect of gameplay that's being introduced up at those areas. And I'm glad you mentioned about the cargo decks, because that's the other thing that all the orbital stations have, are being able to bring cargo. The area I'm going to focus in on, Kelosal, is you can't dock your Carrack. You know what I'm saying? The bigger ships need to have the docking ports. And that's something that's been lacking, where the bigger ships have only been able to come from landing zones. And if you guys saw the video for Seraphim Station, there are docking collars there for the bigger ships as well. So, and I'm surprised you didn't go here on me, Kelosal, because I was really thinking you were going to talk about the lore aspect of Crusaders with ship manufacturing, the importance of the larger hull Ds and Es and things like that, being able to make Port O their stop before going down to Orison. So there's a lot of gameplay reasons, lore reasons, why Port O needs to upgrade. Let's take a quick look at something, and then we'll talk about Grim Hex. Okay, let's check this video.
Hello, I'm Sunny Williams. I'm up here on the International Space Station. So this is Node 2. This is a really cool module. Of course, most of these modules you'll see, they have 4 sides, and they're put together. That way we could sort of work on a flat plane, either a wall, a floor, another wall, or the ceiling. But, again, all you have to do is turn yourself and your reference changes. The reason I'm bringing that up is because this is where 4 out of 6 of us sleep. And so people always ask about sleeping in space. Do you lie down? Are you in a bed? Not really, because it doesn't matter. You don't really have the sensation of lying down. You just sit in your sleeping bag. So here's one sleep station right here. I'm going in right now. You can follow me if you want. So I'm inside. It's sort of like a little phone booth, but it's pretty comfy. I've got a sleeping bag right here that we sleep in, so we don't have sort of like a little bit of a cover. We don't fly all over the place. But you know, you can sleep in any orientation. I have it sleeping, feeling like I'm standing up right now, but like you saw, I'm on the floor. But it doesn't matter if I turn over and I sleep upside down. I can't have it, I don't have any sensation in my head that tells me that I'm upside down, so it really doesn't matter. The sleep station is also like a little office. We've got a computer in here. As you can see, we've got a couple little toys. I've got some books. I've got some clothes and other things that make it sort of like home. I'm coming out. And just for reference, that's one sleep station. This one's another, right here. There's one on the ceiling, if you want to call it, right here. And then there's a fourth on the other wall over here. So all of us sleep in a little bit of a circle. All right, come on back. There's more to show you.
Were you going to say Colossal? Were you going to say something, Colossal?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I want to say something though.
Yeah, go ahead.
I cannot imagine missing out the sensation of gravity pulling my butt down onto that bed versus sleeping in 0G. I'm sorry, okay? Sleeping in 1G is the most amazing thing because you can literally feel gravity just say, hey, come
just
here.
pull
You are
in.
mine now, right? Onto that bed. I cannot picture the absence of that.
Well, they haven't invented the gravitron yet, so that they can have gravity on the ISS. Okay, so that's what you got to do. You know, yeah. I was actually sitting here thinking about there's a Fred Astaire movie where he dances around the room like that. And I said, oh, they did that back in the 1950s. No big deal, you know. But I thought it was pretty cool because life in the real world, you know, living on a space station, is definitely a little bit different than what we do in the game. But we do have habs and places that we have to sleep that are important to the game. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about GrimHex. Kalrati, if you don't mind, why don't you read that one?
Yeah, sure. So, GrimHex, found within Yela's Ring. This station began as a green imperial housing exchange. Everline structures built it into a hollowed-out asteroid to provide affordable accommodation for miners. When jobs dried up, the station fell into disrepair, and its main station was defaced to read GrimHex. Ever since, the station became a haven for those looking to avoid the law and those with no other place to go. Free from the shackles of UEE regulation, the fearless will find unique trade and contract offerings, as well as the same repair, rearm, and refuel amenities found at other, more upstanding rest stops. Those who undertake contracts from the station's most infamous resident, Ruto, will likely need to take advantage of the provided easy habs to lay low for a while.
Okay, GrimHex. You know, when GrimHex got introduced, when they first talked about it, it was kind of like, this is where all the bad people are going to go, right? When it first came out.
All the baddies.
Yeah, all the bad people were going to go to GrimHex. In fact, some of you guys may remember that even the weapons, when GrimHex got into full play, remember Colossal, they put certain weapons that were supposed to be the, I guess, more illegal and notorious weapons. You had to go to GrimHex to get them. And, you know,
like those, like the missile launchers, whatever you call them. I forgot what you call those things.
Right. And the armor.
All that GrimHex,
yeah, the more villainous armor, seemed to the red eyes and all that stuff.
That shoots that big old plasma gun.
The rail gun. Yeah, the rail gun. Yeah, you had to go to GrimHex to get that. Yeah. Now, you know, again, some of you guys, this is just refresher. We know some of you guys were around back then, but there are a lot of players now who weren't around back in the day when GrimHex was truly the Wild Wild West. Kalrati, why don't you talk a little bit about when GrimHex first got put in? There was some difficulty sometimes with getting into GrimHex, right?
Yeah, there were some difficulties getting out of that what do you call it? Those doors. People were waiting to blow your head off. I remember those. I mean, I was doing that too, but still,
Yeah.
I remember those difficulties.
Well, tell people specifically what the difficulty was, because some people may not know.
Yeah, sure. So inside GrimHex, for those who didn't know, that it was all armistice. You couldn't pull out your weapons, couldn't draw, couldn't shoot anybody. But as soon as you went through those doors and you went into space, people will be there with those guns, or you can attack anybody. All right. If I recall correctly, you couldn't fire ship weapons, but you can use FPS weapons.
You couldn't fire ship weapons if you were landed, but if people were up above you hovering.
Okay. Oh yeah.
If you tried to run to your ship.
Yeah.
I
remember.
It was a hellhole in the basket. You couldn't even get out. You couldn't even get out.
Even CIG started getting into the game too, because they placed 2 hammerheads, if I recall, 2 UEE hammerheads, and they were a little too close. So if you had a crime stat, those UEE hammerheads will toast your ship. So you couldn't take off either because there were no hangars.
Yeah.
So they would spawn and you had to run. You had to time to make sure that the hammerheads were behind the asteroid. They couldn't attack your ship, and then just race toward your ship and get off and fly as quickly as you can if you had a crime stat.
Go ahead.
No, I was just contemplating. We were talking about lore earlier. This is why Crusader stinks. Okay, this is why Crusader stinks. Of all the areas in Stanton, Crusader is the least secured, the least secure, right? They're part of the UEE, but they have no representation in the Senate. So no taxation without representation, right? You run around here, you go to Yella, and you got a freaking syndicate over there called Nine Tails. Okay, and then every time you run around, you get shot up at PO, pad rev, and you wonder where the hell is Crusader security? Where are they? Right? At least you go over to Hurston, and you won't have to worry about dealing with all that mess. Because the Hurston family got it on lock. All right. So I just want to let y'all know about the wonderful lore of Crusader. Check it out.
Yeah, that's true. I was thinking about the other thing with GrimHex was like you said, whether getting out of your ship or in your ship, you were immediately taking the risk of your life running across the ramp, because there would be people waiting in the airlock for you sometimes. You couldn't even get in through the airlock. If you made it that far, nobody was there, you were good. But then you still had to leave, which was also going to be a problem. The other thing that you mentioned, Kalrati, which new players may not know, is that GrimHex originally had no hangars. So everything was out on ramps. So there was total exposure no matter what. There was no place you could get in. Now, remember when we found out that there was an alternative entrance at the far end?
Yep.
That you could climb, you could EVA through, and maybe you could get lucky and park your ship and nobody would see it. But getting in and out of GrimHex was no joke back in the day, guys. It was really frustrating for a lot of people. That's when you got on the servers when nobody was on. If you went to GrimHex, that was the thing to do.
And I have to admit, I kind of miss it, and I'm looking forward to Pyro.
The challenge of it, yeah. It wasn't balanced. That was the problem. That was the issue. It wasn't balanced. Let me ask you about this before we move on past GrimHex, talking about stations. They've expanded GrimHex, right? It's not the place that it was before. There are things there. There's stores there. There's the hospital was one of the newest additions over there. The hospital looks like the type of place that the Joker would have got worked on, because it's a pretty scary place.
Oh yeah.
But there is the hospital there. The one thing that has not been implemented that they did build out was the racing area, the betting area that's there. And I know that there have been some independent orgs and people who've worked out some stuff over there for racing amongst the asteroids, but I'm still looking forward to seeing that get built out, because that area is laid out nicely, but it's dead. There's really nothing there unless you decide to get with some people and do some bar hopping to go there. I really would love to see that racing area, really become live over there at GrimHex, and, illegal gambling, basically,
Yeah. Especially since DJ Bunton had mentioned it in the ISC with Arena Commander. So
yeah.
Hoping.
Yeah. Anything else with GrimHex you guys want to see happen over there before we move on?
Well, I mean, it'd be remiss for us not to tell us Grimhex about people about the lore of Grimhex, about there's
Green Imperial.
a certain type of lore where one of the leaders we're hanging out in. If you haven't found that,
Yes,
where that person just look for some bloodstains and look for that area that Griff was talking about, how people were going around instead of using the main doors to get into the facility. There are other areas that you could get in to the facility, and you may be able to find that lore spot or that POI, point of interest.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I do want to correct Grift on, and I rarely correct Grift, guys, is that's not a hospital, that's a morgue. Just want to be clear.
yeah, it's pretty bad. It is pretty bad. You're thankful when you wake up, but when you wake up, you think you're in a nightmare. That's pretty much what it comes out to.
Right.
And I do want to emphasize something that Kelosal said. There is, and see, because the thing has gotten bigger now. In the early days, all we did was explore stuff. When stuff came up, you tried to figure out stuff. There is a secret area. As you guys heard them say, that Grimhex was built on an asteroid. There is a secret area where there was a leader who hid out in this particular, what is it, like a cave? Basically, Kelosal, it's like a cave.
It's like a cave area, but it's almost like it was like a built-in.
They built it up for him deliberately to hide out.
Yeah, and that person hung out there for a long time, you know, until certain events happened. And like I said, look for these stains. And I'm not going to tell you that much, but if you want to know about Grimhex, it does have a pretty deep history dealing with what Kalrati read earlier and things like that. So look into it. Yeah,
look up the whole Green Imperial thing, guys, because that carries over into other places in the game that you're going to find out about them as well. So just keep that in mind.
It also tells you how crappy Crusader is at not being able to manage that area.
Okay, Crusader. All that Hurston hate, I tell you. Okay, let's take another. Let's take a look at another aspect of what it means to live on a space station, and this one, I'm sure we'll have some interesting conversation on too. So let's take a look.
One of the most pressing questions about living in space, of course, is the bathroom. So let's take a look at that little piece of work. Come on in. Here we are at the throne. This is awesome. You might see the little, you might have noticed the little moon on the outside. This is our orbital outhouse right here. And of course, it serves for two functions. Number 2, right here.
I love the picture.
I'll show you. But you see it's pretty small, so you have to have pretty good aim and be ready to make sure things get let go the right direction. And it smells a little bit, so I'm closing it up. And that's, of course, for number 2. And this guy right here is for number 1. So they're sort of two slightly separate functions, but you can do essentially both by hanging on right here and doing number 1 and number 2. I might add it's color coded, so you really don't get it mixed up, which is nice. This is yellows for number 1. And also there's a selection of paper. People always ask about toilet paper. What do you do with toilet paper? What kind of toilet paper do you have? We have gloves, just because sometimes it does get messy. We have some Russian wipes, which are a little bit coarse if you like the coarse type of toilet paper. We have some nice tissues, which are nice and soft if you like soft toilet paper. We have Huggies, just for any cleanup. You know, we were all babies once, and this sort of helps. And then if things get really out of control, we have disinfectant wipes, just to make sure we clean up here. Because, you know, just like the water I showed you, the number 1 stuff can sort of go all over the place if you don't aim correctly. And did I mention both of these have a little bit of suction, so they should keep things going in the right direction. But like I said, sometimes things get a little out of control if you are out of control yourself flying around. So we have lots of protective stuff. And of course, you do have your privacy. There's a little door, so other people know that you're in there.
Okay. Corindian said, who in the world likes coarse toilet paper? Klingons like coarse toilet paper. I believe me, Corindian, I thought the same thing. I was like, coarse toilet paper? Who's going for the coarse stuff? But hey, man, Some people like it rough. I guess that's all you can say about that one, right? But anyway, let's talk a little bit about this whole thing with the social dynamics of what it means to live in the station. If you were around back in the early days, and both these guys were, you will remember that other than Port Olisar, when we were in the module mode of the game, Area 18 was called a social module. Did you play Eve, Kalrati?
I did. For a couple of years.
Okay. So I know Kelosal knows about this, but were you around at the time where they wanted to create space stations for people to use as a social space?
I heard of the news,
You
but
heard about
I wasn't. Yeah.
Okay. And it was interesting because there were many people in the community that pushed back on that. They didn't want it. They felt like it was going to become too World of Warcrafty or something, right? That whole dynamic. Because you know how you just go to stations in your ship and that's it. But they had actually started building it out so that you could get out and walk around and meet your friends in the bar. And they didn't do it, right? And there were a lot of us that were disappointed, right? Because I came out of games like Second Life. I was playing Eve, but I wanted that social dynamic.
Yeah.
But they didn't want that in Eve. Star Citizen, when we first got Area 18 was called the social module. And now we've created something that is expanded, not just down on the landing zones, but now you've also got these gallerias, right? So Kelosal, let's talk a little bit about what, is it important? I mean, like right now you go into Galleria, maybe you'll go down there to get a specific type of something that you want, like maybe a shake or a bar or coffee. But how will this start to play out game-wise? What does CIG share with us about why they've put these tables and restaurants and all this stuff into the game? And I know we've talked about nutrition, so if you want to touch on that a little bit, feel free.
I mean, I would assume that there are certain aspects that they're going to put in for certain regions of the system that you may get in one part of the system that you probably won't get in another part of the system. This could provide a social aspect. It also could you could put missions up in there to help support that social aspect. There could be groups that don't want to meet in their ships because they don't want to be less conspicuous or things like that, and they may meet up in these habitats. There could be groups that maybe want to station in these habitats. We talked about certain groups of people who comes in and they'll zerg you to left, right, and sideways. They may want to use these stations as a setup point, for that. So
let me ask you a question. You're saying that there may be orgs that actually use a station as their base of operations? I mean, even though I know we can't own one, but you're saying maybe that's how, well, they're like if they were operating off a ship, right? They'd use a base as a place where they would spawn in and meet all the time.
Are you providing for any types of fuel? Are you providing for any types of things at that station? No. So if it's going to cost you less resources to use it, and you got the opportunity to use it as a minimalist, as best as you can without having to worry about breaking the bank. Yeah, there are orgs that will use that.
Okay. All right. So people like, for example, if there's a station and maybe there'll be some competition to a certain degree. If a station, you and I were talking about this earlier about certain stations offering maybe more services than others, right? There may be people who, like if they're org, they just say, we'll crew L, I'm just using crew. Crew L1 will be our spawning point all the time. You know what I mean? That's our place where we kick off at, or where we meet at. And orgs could start doing that. Right now, I don't think I know there are people that do it individually. I don't know if there are any orgs that are doing it, because that's interesting to find out. Kalrati, what about you? Any thoughts you're thinking about with the social module, with being able to live and operate out of these places?
Yeah. I actually, have thought about this quite well. And I remember back when I was playing Microsoft, there was a faction called Zoners. Zoners were pretty much neutral to everybody. And the reason why I mentioned that is because going, kind of piggybacking on what you guys are referring to, coincidentally, if an org or two rivaling orgs want to meet, but they're actually neutral or have good affiliation with the faction that owns that station, they can possibly arrange to meet there, as opposed to meeting in some other conspicuous zone. It could be for setting some kind of alliance or negotiating something. So this kind of social space may potentially be a safe area, even when armistice, or should armistice go away completely, for both competing orgs, or something where they want to have some kind of social or neutral social space as they want to set up or arrange certain, make certain arrangements or negotiate certain things, etc., etc. So I think this, in addition in addition to the possibility of when persistence becomes more robust, some persons may want to live near these areas or live at these areas because it could be cheaper than living at the landing zones on the planet. We don't know if they may be rentals or if it may be charged. And some persons may not have the large ship to, sleep in their bed. So these areas will provide some really good spots, some really good, living areas for these types of persons to live out.
Yeah. What are some advantages, Colossal, to being on a station versus being at a landing zone? I mean, there are some advantages, right? As far as your ships maybe, or getting from here to there quicker?
It depends. I mean, some of these areas may have refineries that may be able to refine certain things. We know Crew L1 has a high volume refinery. If you don't know about that, then go to the refinery section and check and see what's the capacity usage. You can literally see how much is being done there at a particular place. And CRU L1, since it's almost centrally located, it does have a high volume. We know when you go to ARC L1 over there, we know that is a high volume of Quantanium. So a lot of people are getting pirated over there because that transit area is a high flux for that. So there are some people who are going to use those space stations for a particular thing, mostly for resting. If you want to go ahead and log in and log out, that's your safest spot if you can get into it. And you can just, they got lockers there that are not usable right now, but the intent is for them to be usable. Go ahead and hang some. And we know how difficult it is to transport things around. So if you got a ship like let's say one of Kalrati's favorite ship, the and I'm in test.
Oh, the Aurora.
The Aurora, right? Good Lord, forgive me, Montoya. I mean, so if you get those types of ships that can't carry that much, you can at least, transport those things there, put them in your locker there, and call it a day.
Right.
So these stations there's a place for everything and everything in its place, and the space stations are.
And I know for me, when I've been doing trade runs, I always base out at the orbital station over the particular planet that I'm at versus going down to the landing zone. Easier to get in and out, less traffic, don't have to deal with the weather. And, I can literally jump from the station to wherever I'm going to go to grab trading stuff right away versus if I went down and I only go to the landing zone just to do the trade. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I stay at the station up above because everything I need is there. So there may be people, depending on what type of gameplay they're doing, that will also determine whether or not they decide to base at a station versus a landing zone versus on their own ship. Okay, so we can kind of see that there's a social dynamic to the game. Kalrati, I like what you said about neutral places, particularly if orgs want to be able to meet other orgs. The fact that they do provide resources there. But the social dynamic is something like we were trying to get together last night to do some operations. And a group of us said, let's meet over at Tressler. And we were hanging out at Tressler, until everybody got there. That was the meeting place, right? But I'm looking for even bigger social dynamics to start to take place, not just because that's the place where we're launching from. But we'll see what CIG comes up with that. Okay. Well, yeah, go ahead. What are you going to say?
I mean, I want to make there's a point that Admiral made. He talks about Babylon 6. And if you ever watch Babylon 5, I believe
Babylon 5,
it was Babylon 5. If you watch Babylon 5, Babylon 5 was the station that basically handled any type of diplomatic situations with all of the known races that were in that show. It was a diplomatic hub.
Right.
And maybe they could have that with the game. I also would like to see, and I don't know if we're going to talk about that a little bit later, Griff. We'll talk about the specialities of these space stations. I talked about it a long time ago. Port Tressler, the name Tressler is very, very unique to Microtech. Very unique to Microtech. Yet I don't see any statues of Tressler. None. Right. And I mean, you got your mobiGlas because of Tressler. So it'll be nice if the space stations, we saw it on Paul Shelley's show last night. One of the guys, I want to pay tribute to him because he gave a good thing that I talked about a while ago, that these space stations need to be unique to certain areas. They don't need to look the same. We maybe they could take the aesthetics from each location and bring that type of, they got the tools, so maybe they can at least bring that into the game. Port Tressler, Microtech has domes, so maybe you could have a dome or two over that Port Tressler and have a statue of Tressler in there. So
Right.
people can go ahead and you got to have more lore in those areas. Like a greeting point, it should be a gateway to the city down below.
Yeah.
And if they can make it that way, it'd be great.
Yeah, it would be. This is like an off weird one, but Levski, even though that was more of an asteroid base, whatever station, but they did have the whole lore thing there with Tanaka and all that other stuff that was existing there, you know.
Right.
So
They
it
sure
would be
did.
kind of cool if they reflected whatever the lore was of that particular planet in some form. That's a
Right. Pay
really great
homage to the
suggestion.
Hurstons and give them their due.
Oh
Let
God.
them know.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my
Okay,
God.
now I know it's time for the next video. Okay. All right. Let's take a look at another piece of real world when it comes to being in a space station.
I'm here with my two buddies in the airlock. Actually, these are two spacesuits that are ready, primed up to go outside, as we call it, to go do a spacewalk in case we have to do anything outside. Some of the things we do outside are just like inside, repairs. We have a lot of electrical boxes and machinery and solar arrays, in fact, that I talked about earlier, that are outside, and sometimes they don't work quite right. Remember, space is really cold and really hot, and it's also the vacuum of space with no pressure, and so some of the equipment doesn't work well all the time. So we might have to go out and do a spacewalk. Right behind me is actually the hatch that you go out into space, and right now we have it filled up with a couple other spacesuits because we've got 4 of them up here and some of our tools. But right behind here is the hatch in which you actually go right outside into the vacuum of space. The spacesuit is pretty big, as you can see. It's like being a football player. Part of the reason it's so big and bulky is because of this backside, this backpack. It's like going on a hike with a backpack, but the backpack and the suit weighs about 300 pounds. Luckily, in space, nothing really weighs anything, so you don't feel that it's so heavy. But we need to have such a big suit because that guy back there is essentially the heart of the spacecraft. I call this actually a spacecraft. It has all the oxygen for you. It has all the carbon dioxide removal system for you. It also has a heating and cooling system to make sure to regulate our body temperatures while we're outside. It also has a computer, so it tells you on a display here if there's anything that's going wrong with the suit, if we're running out of oxygen, if we have too much carbon dioxide, or any type of electrical problem. So it's a pretty awesome little spacecraft, and actually got to go out, use my little spacecraft a couple times, and it worked like a charm. Lucky that it works very nice. You might want to see what the helmet looks like. It's pretty cool too. We don't usually go out like this, so you usually can see when the helmet's open. So you can see what it looks like inside. Somebody's little head would be inside of here. So you can see, you can turn your head all the way around while you're inside of there, but the helmet stays still. So that's determines your how far you could see. And it's usually pretty sunny out there, so we have to wear our sunglasses, and this is our sunglasses right here, which make you look pretty cool.
Okay.
Griff,
Yeah.
can I ask people to type in a number of how many people actually have that suit in game?
The Zeus suit.
Number one.
The Zeus
Yes.
suit.
Yeah. If you have that suit in game, is that a yes, Griff? Yes?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, if you have that suit in game, the Zeus suit, guys, could you please type a 1, please? I don't have it. Colossal does not
You don't have a
it.
Zeus suit?
I don't think I do.
No, are you
That is
serious?
amazing. I have both.
I think
Oh,
because I mean, if it's a subscriber flare, then I have it and I didn't pay attention.
okay, you got it. And you didn't pay attention.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, I just didn't pay attention. But how do you guys have it?
Yeah,
Type a
that's
1,
the-
please.
Yeah, you see, yeah, that's the suit, man. It's it's beautiful. It's really cool, actually. You know, they were talking about this thing with the suit. And, you know, maybe we shouldn't show this video because it shows more and more ideas of things. But we do know that there's a lot of things that we saw in there that Chris Roberts and CIG has talked about that they would like to implement in the suits. You know, maintaining body temperature. We use our Moby glass. There's a lot of information that comes through there, which is pretty interesting. What I do want to reason why I wanted to put suits here, though, was leading into this next section on missions. And Kalrati mentioned missions earlier at the stations. Right now, delivery missions are like one of the things that people have done a lot of, right? You know, you go to the administrative office and you drop off a box or whatever, you get your mission there, or whatever the case may be. But what I want to talk about is these other areas. Me and my bad typos again. I swear typing late at night is never a good thing. I got to correct maintenance, y'all. My OCD is kicking in. Let me ask this question of the panelists here. Maintenance. There we go. What type of missions can come out that actually have to be done at the station in relation to maintenance and repair? Because she talked about the spacesuit that they have to put it on because they have to sometimes go outside and fix something. Do you think CIG will start coming up with missions that are like solar panels that are outside need to be repaired? You know, like right now we've got the ones where you go to comm arrays. But could they come up with stuff like that where we as players are actually doing some form of maintenance or repair? And you can talk about any of these subjects you want: intelligence missions, black market, transportation. I don't think we have any stations that have ports for transportation yet. I think they're all at the landing zones. You know what I mean? Like where you can catch a Genesis Starliner or something. I don't think that there's anything in there yet. And then we touched on security a little bit in relation to the bounty hunting and stuff. You guys, let's talk about that a little bit. Any thoughts you guys have on why that's important at space stations?
Yeah. We saw it in an ISC once where Jared had showcased, I think it was coming down to the very end, the resource network for, it was an underground bunker facility. Mm-hmm. And I think they're most likely, they may integrate these kinds of ideas for the space station, which will be a beautiful approach for maintenance and repair. It will make the space stations their own kind of network. And I think that will usher in some really good opportunities for those kinds of missions for players who may, spawn in or even actually get to the station, and it may generate as their own side missions, So that's one thing I definitely look forward, and actually made me wonder if Seraphim Station may be getting these kinds of backbones, because since they mentioned the resource network, they haven't really mentioned much about, outside of the underground facilities, the space stations getting their own resource network as well. So it kind of made me wonder if Seraphim Station is getting that kind of backbone under the hood until they're ready to turn that on for stations and facilities. So, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Also, I was thinking about the intelligence piece. We've talked about this stuff with data running and stuff. Will these be rendezvous points for, delivering intelligence? If I want to sell some intelligence to somebody, I might tell you to meet me at, Hurl L whatever, you know what I mean? To transfer information to you there, those type of transactions that might take place if I'm, operating as an independent contractor, you know what I'm saying? Rendezvous points for things, or black market sales, right? Because, one of the things when you go down to landing zones is, and I haven't seen this either, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, on space stations, are there security measures on space stations? Because I don't think there is, right? Most of the customs and security measures are on landing zones, right?
Yes, there are.
Yeah.
It's just not activated.
I don't remember any on these space stations.
When you space stations or the rest stops, you talking about that too as well?
Yeah, I'm talking about any of the space stations. I don't remember seeing any type of electronic, like I got to pass through something.
Yeah. When you get inside the elevator and you're at the kiosk, there's a whole row of electronic machines that are not turned on yet.
You must be talking about in Hurston. You must be talking about in Hurston.
No, all of them.
No,
all of them.
Yeah.
Every last one of them.
Where?
It's at all the stations, right at the kiosk. You see, before you walk into the kiosk to go ahead and get your ship, that whole walkway entrance is a whole you check-in system.
At a station? At a space station?
Yes.
Griff, you remember it when the NPCs don't move a muscle and you get stuck and you can't get past it. That's how you
gotta go past there. Yes. The metal detectors right there. The metal detectors. Okay,
it's all right.
I got you.
When you put in the card or you get checked right there. I mean, Versus a little bit more detailed when you have to go through a scanner, and so is Microtech over there as well when you get to Augusta's Dunlop.
Yeah, okay.
But it's all right there.
So let me ask you this: are those? And we don't know yet completely. What do those detect? I'm curious because there's no lockers there to support unless you got to leave your weapons and stow your weapons on your ship. But if I have black market information or something like that, or drugs, can drugs go through there? I'm curious. I'm curious. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It depends. Maybe there's a mission that you could have that you could have a crypto key that could bypass that. Or things like that, or so forth. You have to get a certain rank or a certain reputation.
Okay.
Maybe you can go to PO or Sephirim at the news station, and maybe there's this guy who's just really, really good, outstanding worker of Crusader, and then he brings you into this office and he says, psst, 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 by the way, deliver this to such and such and such and such. Maybe he works for Nine Tails.
Kalrati, he's writing the whole script for him here. He's writing the whole script for him.
He's mapping out the whole thing.
That's right. Maybe he gives you a crypto key or some type of card where you got some type of clearance to go ahead and get through without any detections. And once you get past it, there are lockers over in the rest station that you can put your stuff in and whatever it is. You got so many things.
Okay.
Come on, CIG.
Right. Well, I know I hit a little button there with DK because I saw him. He very quickly answered when I talked about there's no locations yet for transportation. Now, I will say this though, where there are docking collars in stations that have them, there are seating areas in those areas. So I'm assuming, and I could be wrong, but if I'm remembering correctly, those may be areas for when there is commercial transportation that takes place. You hire somebody, that becomes their area because they do have their own little seating areas in some of them. And it's like a viewing port where you can look outside and see when the ship is docking. So I am curious to see whether that's going to be something that's used for the public civilian transportation. I'm not talking about like the big ships that pop in there like the Hammerheads and Reclaimers, but I am talking about gameplay that's involving with transport, and touring. And then we talked about security a little bit. You guys got any other thoughts about in relation to missions? Because right now I know we have, where's Rudo? Is Rudo, he's at Grimhex, right?
Grimhex, yeah.
Yeah, he's at Grimhex, right? We don't have any mission givers at any of the orbital space stations or anything, do we?
There were supposed to be, wasn't there? Weren't there supposed to be plans to go ahead and do that?
Well, you know what? What's his name used to be over at Levski? That one guy, he used to be in the bar. The French name bar that was over there, but he's gone. They moved him someplace else. But I don't think there's anybody at any orbital stations. I don't think we go to any mission givers in orbital stations.
Not right now.
No. I mean,
thank you, Miles. Thank you.
Right, Miles Eckhart. Paisan himself, brother of the Scout.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some.
Yeah, in Lorville. In Lorville. Yeah. Oh, he's in Lorville now. Okay. Yes. Thank you. Yeah. Okay.
There are some missions at the stations, for example, the commodity missions that you can go ahead and do. A lot of people haven't done them. I would advise people to go ahead and do the commodity missions. I mean, there is something dynamic to it. I think they have some type of algorithm where it just resets after a certain amount of time. So if you're not paying attention to the screen, I've stood at the screen after I've made my transactions and have helped the station get back up to par with a certain resource, and then within a couple of minutes, it goes right back to zero.
Okay.
So I think that's intentional. I would like to hope that's intentional for them to go ahead and test out the system, check and see if that part of the system is functioning.
Okay.
But check that out. You do see a difference, and you can open your mobile glass and see that at one point the system was identified as understocked, and then once you help it get stocked, it takes it right off the commodity list. So you can do that. At least that's there for now, but it'd be nice if they had some type of black market transportation, maybe some type of turrets where you can go with some missions where you can go ahead and fix the turrets that are already outside. They already got turrets out there. Maybe you can go ahead and fix those things and things like that. Maybe they can have a certain small, I wouldn't say a dynamic event, but maybe some type of events where maybe there's a group of militias that's trying to come up and attack a certain convoy in the area, and the security terminals are down. You have to fix that or something like that at a certain time. Maybe they can do all that type of stuff.
Yeah, I see definitely the room for a lot of service work that could be done for people who just want to make some money, especially like if something happens where you lose it all, right? And you work up at a station, you got to figure out a way to maybe generate money just to be able to rent a ship or to be able to get a ride somewhere. There needs to be some form of that you can do economy in the stations. I know that they started them at the landing zones where like there are missions where you literally don't have to leave Lorville. You just go pick up a delivery box and you take it somewhere else in Lorville. So I'm really curious to see if they're going to do something like that, whether it's repairing the station, replacing a part, something like that. Maybe we'll see. We know that NPCs are going to be doing that. My question is whether or not game players will be doing some of those same tasks. Let's take a quick break. We are right at the top of the hour, halfway through our show, and we do want to talk a little bit about, as I mentioned earlier, we're raising money for St. Jude. Let me stop the video. Whoops, too quick. we're raising money for St. Jude Children's Hospital, and we've already reached 2 of our tiers. Some of you guys have already given today. Thank you guys so much already toward our contribution. Last week, we hit our 2nd tier, our milestone of $1,000. We're going to be doing a giveaway again today for the show. So get ready for that, just to give you guys a heads up. I'm going to go ahead and start. You already seen something about putting in ticket 1. But I'm going to activate that in a second, where you guys can put in for a ticket for the giveaway, where we're going to be giving away some items. But I want to show you the video about St. Jude. Just takes 1 minute, less than a minute. Take a look at that.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital and YouTube are teaming up to help end childhood cancer.
In September, supporters from across the nation come together during Childhood Cancer Awareness Month to raise money for the kids of St. Jude.
And that's when YouTube gamers will be posting videos and live streaming to raise funds to support the life-saving mission of St. Jude.
At St. Jude, families never receive a bill for treatment, travel, housing, or food, because all a family should worry about is helping their child live.
Money raised also supports the research that leads to groundbreaking medical discoveries that St. Jude freely shares around the globe.
I can only imagine as a parent the relief that they feel when someone like St. Jude steps in.
I think it's a really good lesson for us to realize that we need to do more, and we can do more.
It is a huge step in the right direction, a huge step in helping just people and giving back.
It's all for good, and we have a responsibility, a social responsibility to help out.
Find your favorite video or live stream during St. Jude Play Live on YouTube for Childhood Cancer Awareness Month and donate to this amazing cause.
Your support will help St. Jude further its incredible mission.
Finding cures, saving children.
Let's end childhood cancer together.
Awesome sauce. Okay. If you guys want to be entered into the giveaway, what you're going to put in is ! ticket. And I think 1, afterward. And it'll tell you if it goes through. I'll let you know, but you can put that in if you are interested in where we are today with our $1,000 Chairman's Club package. We're going to be giving that away toward the end of the show, but I do want to go over the tiers. We're making our way up to our next tier goal, which is going to be $2,000. We're going to give away a UEE Navy field jacket and UEE Navy cap. We've done that in the past. If we hit our $3,000 mark, you guys are going to see us do for the very first time a 12-hour live stream. These 2 guys' faces when they see that and say, oh my God, 12 hours. 12-hour live stream. We're going to have special guests come on with us. We're going to do giveaways, and we're going to be giving away in intervals. If we hit 3,250, we're going to give away a $29.48 and $29.49 digital goodie pack. Now, that may not seem like a lot, but let me tell you something. Look on eBay for those things. People are willing to pay that money. Those people who want to collect that stuff, those goodie packages, can't get them anymore. So for people who want to get those, we're going to give that away. At $3,500, we're going to give away a Sons of Centauri pack. If you weren't around back in the day when that came out, that's all the motorcycles, the bikes that CIG put out, the Tumbrel bikes. That's going to be at $3,500. At $3,750, we're going to give away a MISC Prospector. These are all with LTI. And then at $4,000, we're going to give away an RSI Apollo Triage. Now, let me stop for a second. Some of you may say, oh, it looks like there are more ships. That's because we have a generous anonymous donor who wants to remain anonymous and has just given us a ton of stuff to give away specifically for this St. Jude charity thing. So we want to give a special shout out to that person because they just contacted us and said, hey, I've got some stuff I want to give you guys for this. So we added that to this list. At $5,000, we're going to give away an Air and Space pack, which is the Terrapin and I think a Tumbrel with LTI. At $6,000, we're going to give away 2 medium fighters. We're going to give away a Suntuck Yai and also the Aegis Saber Comet, both of those with LTI. At $7,000 Kelosal, we're giving away a Banu Merchantman at $7,000. At $8,000 Kalrati, we're going to give away the Origin 890 Jump. At $9,000, we're going to give away the 2948 Exploration Pack with LTI. Make sure we understand that is the Exploration Pack, not the Mega Exploration Pack. But what that is a Carrack Colossal, Misk Dur, a Dragonfly Bike, a Tumbrel, and I think a Terrapin, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the difference in that one. It has a Terrapin in it. I think when you get the Mega Pack, you get the 600i included in there as well. Or the Aquila, something like that. But anyway, that's $9,000. And at $10,000, the biggie, the big mamma jamma, the Endeavor. Is that my bad spelling? No, I spelled it right. Endeavor Master Set. All right. The Endeavor Master Set. An Endeavor with all the modules. Now, this giveaway is going to be, or not this giveaway, this charity fundraiser will last until CitizenCon weekend, October 22nd. That's our goal, $10,000 by October 22nd. And you can give. And if you've given already, we really, really appreciate you. We will ask that you would consider giving towards St. Jude Children's Hospital. And of course, tell people about it. That's one way we can reach the goal real quick. In 3 weeks, it was 3 shows actually, we got to the $1,000 mark already. And we know we're going to get to 2,000. So we're getting there, gang. So we really want to say thank you to those of you who've already given to this cause. And for those of you who will consider it, can't do it today, you got plenty of weeks still to toss it in and help us reach those milestone goals. Okay. So thank you. We appreciate that. Okay. Got all that in. Let's go ahead and move on to our next piece here.
Let's do it.
Yeah. We talked about food. We talked about spacesuits. Let's talk about food.
Here's a pretty cool place. This is sort of like in your house where everybody meets in the morning. After you wash your face, brush your teeth, you want to find something for breakfast. And this is our kitchen. You might notice there's all sorts of foods here. It's like opening the refrigerator. You got all your different stuff that you want to have: drinks, meats, eggs, vegetables, cereals, bread, snacks. And that's a good place. That's where you find all the candy. Side dishes, and then some little power bars just in case. So we have all this type of food. Some of it is dehydrated, and so we have to hydrate it, fill it up with water. Some of it is already made, and then all we have to do is heat it up. So something like this, I'm pulling out barbecued beef brisket. Pretty yummy. Not only is this food made in the U.S., but we also have food here from Japan. We've got Russian food. As you can see, all these red containers are filled with food that's from Russia. And then we get some of our specialty stuff, some things that we like, some of our favorite stuff that your family can send up. In fact, I like fluffernutters, and so I got sent up some fluff so I could make my fluffernutter with peanut butter. So you have a lot of food up here, no problems.
Okay.
Well, I haven't seen that in a hot minute.
That's some fluff.
That's some fluff right there.
Fluff, yeah, I know. Okay.
Fluff.
We're going to talk about several subjects here, but you know, we talked about food, and or she talked about food, and of course, what you guys saw was everything was dehydrated virtually, right? And you know, that takes a little bit to get used to. We have them as MREs a lot of times, but in our game, they do try to have some actual foods that you can eat. Let's talk about resources, guys. Food, clothing, weapons, components, fueling, and repair for space stations. And let's talk about it also in light of the anticipation of going into pyro, and not even just pyro, but just depending on where you go. What do you feel is vital? What's going to be the difficulties of acquiring these items? You know, what are the benefits of being in a station? I mean, are there benefits to being in a station that supplies these things, or, you know, what type of gameplay can come out of it where people might decide to say, I'm going to be in this station and maybe I'm supplying other people. I'm thinking about ships like the Vulcan, for example, right? That's basically designed to go out and deliver stuff to other people. Any thoughts on that? And I'll go to Kalrati first on this one. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it will definitely depend, I think, on the abundance of the space stations as well as distance between them. A space station, a star system like Pyro, these space stations may be a lot more important compared to the space stations in the Stanton system because of the distances, because of the travel times between these space stations, especially when it comes to resources. Now, depending on the activity and if quantum comes into play, by then, you know, staying at a space station could be a good thing and also a bad thing. If the resource network or resource path gets cut off because of some kind of dynamic event, let's say the 9/11 lockdown, staying at a space station may be a bad thing for you. as opposed to living out somewhere where you know that there's some kind of abundance in resources and you haven't really told anybody. So it could be a good thing, and it could also be a bad thing depending on the activity that goes around there. I remember Kelosal was also talking about the same activity, having the missions and those things around the space station that can actually really affect the activity and the provision of the resources depending on the kinds of missions and the AI and player activity that exists around there. Even now, I usually tend to frequent around space stations that sell weapons and components. If you go into your star map, most of the time when you click the station specifically, you will see the kind of stores that are available. So things like, I believe, Michael 1, 2, not all the space stations, of course, depending on where you think you will need a particular resource, you can go there. And I think, especially when it comes to provision and trading of resources, that will become a lot more important depending on, where or what resources you want to make use of them. I don't fully agree that, some space stations don't have, a weapon store, but depending on their gameplay ideas, as well as how they want to shape the economy, depending, of course, that will also depend on the space station or the star system. I can see why they want to tailor the rarity of these items and the rarity of these stores for this purpose.
Yeah. Kelosal, do you think that when we get into certain areas, like, and I mentioned Pyro earlier, where we don't have UEE law enforcement or any form, I will not say UEE, let's just say there's no NPC law enforcement in some form. I've been in the game where there have been people who have locked down a station. Like they've went outside and they got 3 or 4 of their buddies and they're out there nailing anybody that tries to come into that station. And they're just doing it for the heck of it, right? But do you think you'll start seeing that from an economic standpoint? In other words, we talked about earlier, maybe there's an org that bases out of this particular station. Do you think that people will start like locking down a station that doesn't have any form of law enforcement patrolling it?
Probably. I mean, more than likely, probably. I mean, we have taken into consideration, we're waiting for Quanta to step in. So if they're going to do that, that could majorly affect that. A lot of resources may not come in there because the Quanta may recognize that system is being attacked by a certain group of people, certain pirates, and you start to see a divergence of resources and lack of resources. They may stranglehold themselves. You never know. Because they're going to have to bring resources. That's a big system, and they're going to have to be prepared to go ahead and bring in resources to maintain that if they want to go ahead and put a lockdown on that with the certain types of foods. I do want to go ahead and throw in a little bit of a comical shout out to Buster, because Buster, one of our good friends, she, along with Paul Shelley, was talking about having some type of a space truck out there, a space bus, where they go ahead and sell food out there from their own space station, right? Or their own little ship. That was interesting idea that they may pull up at a place like a Pyro and say, hey, you don't have the resources we do. So don't hurt us. We're neutral. We're helping you out as well as the people that are coming into this area. I do want to go ahead and do a shameless plug, though. Griff, if you will allow me to go ahead and paste something in the chat. This is episode 111 that we did at Soul Citizens, and it's called Indigestion. It was talking about all the different types of foods that you currently see on the screen right now in terms of what they are, what types of resources they give you, the stats and everything like that. So I would ask everybody to look at that, because I think Soul Citizens did a very good job at trying to delineate and try to educate the community on how to properly eat this and what to take this, because there are some stackable items that a lot of people still have not investigated, haven't seen that type of stuff yet on the website. You can see some people have plus signs. We had a member last night ask us, I got plus signs on my nutritional bar, things like that and so forth. There are items that do stack. So look at that video. It's a great video that Soul Citizens did with episode 111 about that.
I don't know if people have noticed this, and I know I don't want to just focus on food, but since you mentioned that, I don't know if you guys notice in stations what type of food is easily accessible versus what's the food that you have to go find. And if you notice, in most of the stations, the hot dog stand is easily accessible. The burrito stand is easily accessible, right? That's it. but those are also two of the worst foods that you can eat in the game.
Negatives.
And so if you want the good food, you have to go down to the Galleria, the food that's going to give you the better buffs, the better health, last longer, the whole 9 yards. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. Maybe you have, maybe you haven't. But there's a reason why the McDonald's and the Wendy's are up there at the front door, okay? That's the reason why.
Absolutely.
So later on, as to Kolosal's point, as these things get implemented, yeah, you may decide to run in at the last minute and get that hot dog, but you may pay a price for it later on. You may find yourself in the bathroom later on your ship a little bit faster because you decide to eat the hot dog instead of going down to the Galleria and getting the noodles, maybe. I don't know. But, you know, the stations are being laid out. There's some sanity behind what's there is what I'm saying, okay? And later on, station life is going to be something that you're going to have to think about. Like, to your point, Kelosal and Kalrati, the economy isn't in yet. We don't know how much it's going to cost to, it may be economical to live on a station. It really may be. Economical for time, economical for certain resources, but some stations may be very difficult to live on. As you mentioned, Kelosal, if there happens to be a stranglehold on the economy because the trade lanes there have been a lot of piracy going on, resources aren't coming in, so therefore living on that station may not be a good thing, right? There's a lot of pros and cons to this idea of being on a station, okay? One of the things we didn't talk about, though, with resources is moving these resources from station to planet, right? Kalrati, let's talk about that a little bit. Stations are supposed to be like way stations, right? You know, the Hull C, in fact, when they talked about Seraphim Station, they said the reason why we wanted to get it in is because the Hull C is coming, right? So evidently that's going to be the testing ground for this bringing mass resources in and out to be delivered. What's going to happen to why are stations important when a Hull D or a Hull E comes in, you know, in relation to not just selling stuff, but to people that are down on that planet at that landing zone?
Yeah, I'm so glad that you that was at the top of my head and I slipped up and forgot about that. I was like, oh man, because especially when these large cars come into the game, who knows, maybe there could be a shift in the mission, in the types of delivery missions that are available. It could have missions where we have to deliver back and forth certain commodities from the space stations down to the outposts, down to the landing zones and back. You know, for the Hull C to actually matter, there could be certain services that we have to do or perform that have some kind of connectivity with those points of interest on those planets or on those moons. So we're seeing as these larger ships may actually frequent the space stations more than the planetary bodies or the outposts that exist on the planetary bodies, we may see the benefits of the smaller delivery and cargo hauling ships so that they don't actually need to compete in a way, even if they are in a single star system.
Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look at this next video. By the way, if I'm not getting anybody's names coming in for the giveaway for some reason, I only have 5 names.
They don't want free stuff, man.
Is that what it is? No, I thought some people typed it in, but it didn't go in for some reason. Kalrati, do me a favor. Type in, exclamation point ticket.
All right.
And let's see if it's reading. Because I want to make sure. I don't want people, you know, not getting in. Okay, I got 6 there. Huh. Theorem, Colossal.
Let Kelosal do it because I'll do it.
Okay, they're coming in. Okay, they're coming in. It wasn't registering for some reason. Okay. All right, let's hit our next video then. Let's go.
Keep on punching that exclamation point ticket, guys, because you always think about your fan favorite Kelosal and donate to the Bank of Kelosal.
All right, let's see this next video.
This is the cupola. It sticks down below the space station. It's one of those places you find yourself hanging out in all the time because all you want to do is look back at our planet. I think some questions I had were about what do you do in your free time? And you can't help but want to just come to the cupola and look outside as much as you can. And a lot of folks, I play this game with myself about where we're flying over the Earth. Try to come in here and just guess. After being here for a little while, You can sort of figure it out. You can tell different cloud types over different continents. You can tell different soil types over different continents.
Body of water.
So let's see. And then, of course, there's a lot of ocean. So usually we're over the ocean at first glance. I will tell you in just a moment where we are.
That looks like India and Africa and Italy area.
So right now
That
we're
doesn't
right
look
over
flat.
Africa.
This is
It's
a
little bit
scam,
cloudy,
man.
as you can tell. So we're right over the continent of Africa. Hey, what's that? I
Just
think
like
that's a
I said,
Soyuz
yay.
spacecraft.
I'm good.
That's the spacecraft that's taken us home to planet Earth today. Oh my gosh. We might have to go take a look at that. That's pretty cool. It's a little bit smaller than the rest of the spacecraft, the space station, so you'll see if we go there, it'll be a little bit more crammed. But we're going, you can look all the way back to the back of the spacecraft, which is where the Russian segment is, and then you could look all the way forward to the front of the spacecraft, where the Japanese laboratory, the European laboratory, and the American laboratory are, and then back to the solar arrays where we started this morning when we were looking out the Japanese window.
Okay. Alrighty. Hey, Mario 39, thank you so much for that follow. We appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let's talk about industry, because the stations right now that focus in on this more than anything are I think it's the L1s, right? The refining is all at the L1s. Is that right, Kelosal?
You talking about the Lagrange stations, I believe?
Yeah.
I believe the Lagrange stations are the ones that have the
it's not
cargo area.
No, I mean refining. Refining I was asking about.
Yes.
L1s and L2s, yeah.
L1s and L2s. Okay. Cargo. Do they all have cargo? Cargo decks?
No.
No, they don't, right? Some do.
No. Just the orbitals.
Just the orbitals. Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. Mining and trade. Okay. So let's talk about industry. What is the importance of space stations in relation to that? Let's talk about that. Kelosal, let me go to you first this time to talk about why space stations are important for that.
Supply. I mean, they're a hub. They're a hub for that. I mean, that's pretty much the way it is. I mean, things are coming into that area instead of it hits that as a hub. It's able to refine that and bring the refined materials down to the planet to go ahead and supply the platforms and the cities that are down there. These are major hubs.
Okay.
Which and that's ships? Why you always see. What was that?
I was going to ask you which ships in particular would be involved, or what type of gameplay would be involved with, transporting, moving stuff from station to wherever.
Right. I mean, based off of the lore, the ship that's going to be utilized the most in game is going to be a Hull C. Okay. Right. But you're going to look at the whole series. You're going to look at probably a lot of Argo ships running around left, right, and sideways. You may, once they put it in game, I would like to see how they're going to use the Qatar companies. How they're going to use that, the Raylan.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an industrial ship that carries a lot of resources.
Yeah.
You might see in terms of private transportation, I wouldn't be surprised. I hope people didn't throw them away, but you might see a lot of Caterpillars, and you definitely might see a lot of MISCs, the Max. If they want to get from one place to another place really quickly and efficiently. So, I mean, these places they should be major hubs. There should be major industrial areas that we should be transporting a lot of stuff. So,
yeah. Kalrati, what can players do as far as for their gameplay? What are some gameplay things that they do? Colosal's kind of named all the ships, but what does they have to do with players? I mean, we've got these, we know that the SRV is coming, right? We know that we've got the Argos, right? The Argo small ships that are modular.
Yeah.
How does that play into somebody who says, you know what? I want to find a way to make money up here at this station. I got all this stuff going on. What are some gameplay things that can happen that way?
Yeah, sure. I often.
You cut off for a second. Okay.
Oh, you can hear me now?
Yes, say it again. Uh-huh.
All right, sweet. So I often thought about that from time to time, especially as Persistent Hangars is coming online very soon or soon, whenever that comes. Right. Because I think outside of the landing zones, players are definitely going to spend some quality time at these space stations should persistent hangers make their way to these space stations, whether it be for logistical reasons, for their own personal reasons. But, as we get to be able to manipulate and interact with cargo and all those items and those things, I think these will be some really good hubs, not just for trading, but where we're able to actually access goods. I mean, currently, we can, whenever we do a mission or whenever we go exploring and we loot any kind of item, we most of the time go to the space station where we are frequenting and dump it there. So I think there's going to be a lot more going on at space stations, should we be able to interact with these items more. And in addition to the missions that we spoke about, I think these space stations will be a lot more, or see a lot more frequency or a lot more activity than the landing zones, because they don't exist within the atmosphere. So much activity I think is going to occur at these space stations, depending on what CIG's plans are with regards to tailoring the specific stations to satisfy a particular type of gameplay, depending on the trade route or cargo route as it relates to quantum. So it's going to be a very interesting twist of events, or as time goes along and as we see more and more things flesh out.
So let me ask you guys this question. Now, guys, I'm theory crafting, y'all, okay? I'm trying to go with some stuff that CIG has said and asking, is this the direction that they're possibly moving in? My question is, with the SRV being one of the vehicles that we know is being worked on, it's in the later stages of polishing or whatever. We know that the Hull C is coming. We know that the docking collars are coming for Seraphim Station. We also know that CIG has moved us up to being able to manually move cargo boxes, right? We've got the one SCU box now, right? But we also know cargo decks are set up so that they can go all the way up to 32 SCU. The Argo raft, we know that that's something that they want to do. Is there going to be a situation where I can make money with my Argo raft or my SRV loading Colosal's Hull C? Now, right now, everything's kind of hand wavium, right? You order something, it pops up on the side of your ship. But last night, with Kelosal, we were with Ops Chief. He had a load of stuff that was in his ship, and we were attaching it to the sides of the Hull A. We were doing it manually, right, with the multi-tool. But a bigger version of that is going to be the SRV and the raft, being able to either remove these things from Hull Cs, and then getting them down to stations, because the Hull C cannot go down. Well, it can go down partially, but it can't go fully loaded into atmosphere and land. So will players be able to make money doing that? I mean, that, like, you hire me, that's it, right? Or you think people will rely on just NPCs? Because I mean, I think in the beginning it'll be hand wavium. You just put the order in and it happens. I see the cargo decks as being a place that you go to the cargo deck, and let's say I'm a miner, right? And I've been storing copper, and I've been storing it in the cargo decks for a period of time. When I'm ready to load my Hull C, I see it as I'm going to go down to the cargo deck, go to the computer, say I need my stuff because I'm ready to take it, and it's going to go into one of those exterior cargo boxes. And somebody or something is going to move that box onto my Hull C or Hull D. Is that the way you guys see it too, or do you guys see Hull Cs and Hull Ds and Hull Es being loaded some different type of way?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm still waiting on a little bit more clarification, because we do know that you can load a Hull C from, I believe, based off of not this last ISE, but the one before that, or the one before that. The last 2 or 3, they talked about how you can load a Hull C from the ground, right? You go ahead and put in the trans, boom, 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 and your Hull C has to be in the space station upstairs. And as soon as you get there, it says boom, 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 and here's the stuff, and it loads it on there. So if that's the type of gameplay that they're moving towards, I mean, I would like to see how they're going to use that type of gameplay that you're talking about, such as if you have a Hull C and you're coming up to the space station, you can't land on the surface with a Hull C, or even a Hull E or a Hull D.
Right.
And so you may have to go ahead and take that item, transport it to an Argo. It's going to be a whole bunch of Argos, because the last I checked, the Argo only has 3 32-unit slots, right? Only 3 of them, I believe.
It's 3 32, so most it can carry is 96 SCU, yeah.
So right, so 332 unit slots, and you got a lot of those 32 units. So you're gonna have a whole bunch of Argos just taking stuff and transporting down. It's all about logistics.
Yeah.
And
I mean, but do you think it'll go to that level? I mean, do you think it will go to manually if I want to load my hull C? Okay, here's what I'm wondering.
Possibility.
Will it be if I pay NPCs, it takes longer? If I pay humans, it can happen faster.
I mean, it's a possibility. I don't know how they're going to do that.
Well, I'm just saying, there's got to be a pro and con. If I don't have any friends to help me load up, I got to get somebody to do it. So that, and I know they've talked about NPCs doing it, hiring NPCs.
Well, that's why I said, you know, that's why I referred back to that video that they put out, because if you can do that on the surface level to get a whole C to be prepared for inventory, incoming inventory when they land at the station, is it going to be the same way when you're at the station and you drop off the package? Would it automatically be down there waiting for you at Lorville?
No, I'm saying no. I'm saying no. I'm saying no. I'm talking about ultimately, because I know there's going to be tier 0 of everything, right? Building up to it. I'm saying, do you think it'll ever get to the point where it's a totally physicalized manual operation?
Yeah.
Okay. Kalrati, what do you think?
Possibly. That's a really good question, because it will definitely depend on the can be made present. But I think CIG will open the door up and allow us to be able to do something like that. If they actually introduce something like that a little too early, not many players may. I mean, who knows? Maybe players will rely on their buddies to do that. But depending on the speed at which a cargo deck, or rather, who knows, maybe depending on the amount of NPCs may exist at a cargo deck, it may be more worthwhile hiring or asking NPCs to do it versus asking players to do it. Because, I mean, who knows, maybe there may be more NPCs virtually existing at a cargo deck versus, let's say, in Stanton, versus NPCs existing at a cargo deck at a pyro station, right? So maybe it will be more worthwhile having their buddies actually load that cargo at pyro, more potential defense there from their buddies, that is, versus at a cargo deck in Stanton, because there may be more NPCs that may exist virtually at a cargo deck.
Let me give you a sample ship, because Kelosal mentioned this ship earlier, the Argo Raft. The reason why I can tell you it's going to be manual is because they put a freaking tractor beam on the back of that sucker with a tractor beam station, right? So we can talk automated all we want. I mean, we know that's going to happen, right? You push the button and stuff's going to jump on there at some point. But at some point, you can see they have in their mind, somebody's operating that freaking tractor beam, loading 3 of those 32 SCU boxes onto this thing, right?
Yeah.
And so you see what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, there has to be some type of pro and con as to why I would use NPC over humans. Because if it's always NPC, maybe it's the bucks, right? Maybe it's how much money is it going to cost? Maybe it costs me way more money, or maybe it takes more time versus if I hire this guy who's living at the station and, hey, this guy says, hey, you want me to load your stuff? I got the ship. Let me know here. I'll have you loaded in 10 minutes. NPCs may take 30 minutes. I'm just kind of curious how this station living people can make money on the station.
And I'm going to find a way to knock you off in your NPC stat, Mo. I'm going to find a way, hey, but I'm going to sit there and say, hey, okay, fine. I'll undercut the NPC and I'll get it done in a better time. And yes, it may be a little bit less for me, but I may build that reputation with you to the point to where I may be able to, do better just by transporting your ship. And the other ship that I want to bring into the fray before Kalrati makes his point would be the Banu Merchantman. We know the Banu Merchantman can land on the surface with cargo.
You got to bring that ship up. We up at the station. Don't be going down to
the Banu Merchantman.
That's true.
And land it right on the ground with your little Pioneer down there. Let me go ahead and reinforce the Pioneer with equipment. I'm just giving Fast Cart a little bit of praise. So you never know.
I'm going to say this. I have yet to see how you load the Banu Merchantman. Now that's what I'm curious to see. Because wait. Now hear what I'm saying. I'm saying. I understand how you could load it up when you're on the surface. I have not seen how you load that ship when it's in space dock. So that's just me, because it's got a ramp on the bottom. You ain't loading stuff up on that ramp in space in 0G. So I'm waiting to see.
No.
Everybody thinks that bad new merchantman is the fix all of all things. I ain't talking about the ramp. I ain't talking about the ramp you walk up. I'm talking about the one that lowers down from the cargo deck. Is there a ramp? How do you get big boxes on the bad new merchantman? I'm still fluxed on that ship. That's just me.
We don't know. They may have tracked it before. What we've seen in concept was they do have things that go ahead and go down, grab it, and bring it back up.
He just had to bring up that bad new merchantman Kalrati. That's all it is.
I'm trying to make Fast Card happy and let him know that he has missed on this show.
I'm trying to tell Fast Card. I'm trying to talk Fast Card to selling me that bad new merchantman for $250 because he ain't gonna. That ship ain't gonna be all he thinks it is. That's all I gotta say.
Oh, he ain't gonna be driving by himself.
Yeah, that's the truth.
That's the one we're giving away, people. By the way,
that's the truth. Yeah, but you get what I'm saying, though. I'm saying that, they put some things in the game that implies that they do want some manual level of labor. And I do wonder, like other ships that we didn't talk about, Kelosal, the Starfare, right, for delivery, for refining, mining, trade, cargo. There's not just fuel, but there's liquids. There's other things. And we did a show a little while back when we were doing our industrial strength series on the Starfares and the Geminis. Right. They have cargo pods, not just the pods for fuel, right? So we could even see those being ships that are going in and out of cargo areas as well, Okay, anything else in relation to industry, in relation to space station, guys?
I think this is where Tony Z's going to come into play. Yeah. Especially with regard to the whole manual. If there's some kind of high demand, and the specific service beacon comes up for, let's say, okay, there's a heightened need for refined goods or these kind of commodities, then I think that is also going to be something that's going to entice players to be drawn more to the manual loading of things rather than NPCs, depending on the costs, times, and all those things.
Yeah. Good point. Thrakazog, I know the merchantman's got a crane and all that other stuff, but I'm talking about 0G loading. That's the thing I'm curious about with the merchantman. And maybe there is some avenue of doing it. I don't know. But at a station, I don't know how you're going to load it. I get how you can load it on a planet surface, don't get me wrong, but I don't know how they can do it in 0G. So we'll have to go back and look at the pictures again and see. He says, didn't show the lift fitting a 32 SCU size box. Yeah, we'll have to see. I am curious. I know I'm dashing Fast Card's hopes in relation to that merchantman right now, but I'm just curious to see what's going to happen with that. Well, anyway, we wanted to kind of, again, this week, kind of share with you guys the idea of living on a station. People talk about living on their ships, talk about living in a landing zone, living at their base that they're going to build. But the question is, will there be people who literally play the game or find ways to play the game by just being at a space station? Whether it's, as we just mentioned, helping with cargo, whether it's selling, doing their trading from those areas. We know that there are plenty of people who are in the industry. They're going to be refining and doing their mining from there. We know there may be orgs that may operate out of certain space stations. But we'll have to see where the direction of where that goes.
I'm gonna go ahead and give Reload a little prop. I mean, he has a test custodial services. He says he's gonna go ahead and clean and do some custodial work. He could be at one of those space stations doing work for you.
Yeah, he could be. Yeah, he could be. He could be. All right,
time that up.
Okay. Well, listen. We are going to go ahead and wrap it up for this week. We're going to get ready to do our giveaway. If you guys have not signed up for our giveaway, please do it now. ! Ticket for St. Jude Children's Hospital. We really, really appreciate everyone who has already contributed. As we mentioned, this is because we hit our $1,000 mark last week. We are right now at $1,076. Thank you guys so much. You've already begun to move us up toward our $2,000 milestone mark, which we hope we will hit fairly soon as well. Don't forget to put in ! Ticket. We are going to be giving away the Chairman's Club package, which includes a Concierge Chairman's Club bag. It includes the Concierge Chairman shirt, the Chairman's hat, Chairman's Club keychain, and I keep feeling like there's one more item. I could be wrong, but you're going to get us basically a nice little gift package of Chairman's Club stuff. The Aussie Viking, thank you for that follow. Also, Alcahest, I hope I say that correctly. We missed you when you came in, and Amario, thank you as well. And Arjun1, thank you for the follows as well. We really appreciate you guys doing that, okay? I think we've got just about everybody in for the giveaway. So don't forget, exclamation point ticket. We've got 25 entrants in here who are interested. And I think we're going to do the countdown and kick this off. Let me make sure I'm on the right page so I push the right button here when it's time, because I always can't find the button when it's time to do it. Close the way, giveaway, import.
Give the St. Jude's, guys. We would love for that $10,000 to be reached, and we would love to see you get the best, the dark horse ship of all ships, the Endeavor Master Set.
This is
preferably. We would love you to get Fast Cart's BMM. He's
there you go.
Far too long.
There you go. You want to get Fast Cart worked up.
I may be retired by the time the Endeavor comes out, but it'll be out.
All right. We're about to close the giveaway down, guys, and we're going to pick. All right. I think everybody's in who's in on the count. I'm going to count down on the closing it down. 3, 2, and 1. All right. The giveaway has been closed. Kalrati, why don't you give me the count and we'll draw our winner.
All right. In 3, 2, 1.
Boom. Fat Docs 8. Fat Docs 8. Are you there? Fat Docs 8. Fat Docs 8. You have been called. Congratulations. Let's see if the name popped up. Oh, there's Fat Docs. So there we go. Yes.
Hey,
Fat Docs 8. Congratulations. Congratulations. You've got a package worth over $150 of official CIG swag. So if you're concierge already, that means you didn't have to buy it. And if you're not concierge, that means you can act like you're concierge when you go to CitizenCon. So wear it proudly. That's what we're going to tell you today. What you need to do is contact us, fatdocs at soulcitizens@gmail.com. We will need a mailing address for you, a P.O. box where this will be shipped to you. It will be coming directly from CIG, not from us. So please, once again, soulcitizens@gmail.com, or you can DM us in Twitch to our Soul Citizens. I'm the only person that gets that, and I will make sure that you get your winnings right away. Well, based on CIG, y'all, if you ever order from CIG, it all depends on when it gets there, because it's usually international travel. So it's usually there within a week or two, so at the most. But if they're in stock, it usually doesn't take that long. So we are going to be sending it out to you. So once again, congratulations, Fat Stock. Send that to us and we'll get that out to you, okay? I think that's it. We have hit everything for the show this week, guys. Let's talk about what we've got coming up next week. Oh, you know what? We've got a couple things to talk about. Thing number 1, July 15th, we are back. 2953, the Star Citizen Virtual Bar Citizen. We will be hosting this again not next Saturday, but the Saturday following, July 15th. There will be 2 sessions again. If you've never participated in this, we do a virtual Bar Citizen. We started doing these during COVID to allow for people to be able to connect once again within the Star Citizen community. And they went off and took off so well that we continue to do them as a means for a lot of folks who don't have the ability to go to a bar citizen, rather. Maybe there's no bar citizen in their area, or maybe there's some reason physically why they can't attend a bar citizen, or the money isn't there for them to travel to one. So we have a virtual one. And when we have the virtual one, we have folks from all over the world that sit in on it. Folks from Germany, folks from Asia, folks from Australia, folks in the UK, folks here in the United States. And quite often we have folks from CIG who also join us for these events. And we do giveaways, we do trivia, we have a lot of fun. You get to make some new friends. You get to put faces with voices. We do this via Zoom. You don't have to turn on your camera, but we encourage people to do it because we get to know folks, just like as if you went to a bar citizen. You wouldn't be wearing a bag over your head like they do in Hurston with Kelosal. People would be able to see your face.
Happily give it to you. Trying to protect you.
So we want to encourage you guys. It's a free event. There are 2 sessions. There's a morning session for those folks across the pond to make it easier on them. It goes from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern time. We take a 1-hour break and then we kick it off again from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern. You can come to one, you can come to both, but we have a real fun time. So we want to encourage you guys to sign up for that. There's the barcodes up there. You will start seeing these ads go out this week on our Twitter. So if you follow Soul Citizens on Twitter, You might also see Yacht Club putting information out on this. You can sign up for free on there, and we look forward to seeing you guys there for that. Okay? All right. Next up, let's see. Am I hitting the right thing? Nope, I'm hitting the wrong thing. To that. There we go. And of course, that didn't come up at all. Oh, there it goes. A little delay to it. All right. Kalrati, can you talk about what's going on Thursday? And Kelosal, can you take what's going on next Saturday?
All right. Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern, we have all the updates.
Kalrati, you're cutting out for some reason. I don't know why you're chopping up on your audio. Try one more time.
My ISP.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
It's probably FC. Yeah.
No problem. Go ahead.
Everything's going wrong. Jinxed me, man.
We can hear you
Anyway,
now.
so Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern time, we have Soul Talk, where we talk all the updates, CIG Star Citizen week. We go over Star Citizen Live, we go over ISC, we go over a whole bunch of things, monthly report, roadmap, this week in Star Citizen, sneak peek, and of course we have Machinima, and we always highlight some person's videos that's been published to the community. So check us out. Free, totally welcome to join us, voice your opinions or just come join the gang and just chill with us. So yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right. And on Saturdays is our Soul Voices, where we go ahead and we take things from the community, as well as information from Reddit and other types of social media that we go ahead and discuss. We bring in the community as well to have conversations as well, along with our Soul Citizens cast. So please come and join us on Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Central. I believe we got something special going. Is it this Saturday?
Yeah, the 50th. Yeah, you can tell them about the 50th. Yeah.
The 50th show with we're doing our 50th show and of Soul Voices, and we're bringing in the player haters. So there's going to be a lot of people, a lot of player haters that from the beginning, the new, the old, they're all coming in to help us celebrate for Soul Voices. So please come in and enjoy. It's also like a tri-podcast that we have as well. We start off with Soul Voices, and then it goes over to Paul Shelley later on that evening, the early evening, and then it finishes off with Relay. So please come join us. It's a very good day to talk about Star Citizen.
Yeah. I think the player haters segment will be interesting. This is the first time we'll have all the player haters on at the same time. So trust me, you don't want to miss this reunion of the player haters. All the player haters will be there this week. And I think we'll have a real fun time with our 50th episode next Saturday at 3 p.m. Thank you, Kelosal. Next week, we're going to be doing our next show is going to be called, pardon me, RSI, RobertSpaceIndustries.com. We are going to actually do an overview of the RSI website, not just in the way it is now, but we're going to talk about how it all got started. And, a lot of areas on the website that people either don't know about, forgot about, don't use, or whatever the case may be. So we're going to talk about that, Spectrum, the Galactopedia, all types of cool stuff next week. If you want to become more familiar with the website, if you want to learn the history of the website, we are going to talk about that. And we're going to even talk about what needs to be better on the website, because it definitely needs some improvement. But trust me, y'all should have been around in the beginning. This sucker is immaculate in comparison to what it used to be back in the day. Back in the day, it was a real hot mess. So hopefully you guys will be able to join us for that on next week. Okay. I think other than that, that's it. We are at the end of our show. Thank you guys again for all your support. Thank you for the donations to St. Jude Children's Hospital. Thank you again for all the subscriptions, the follows, the bits, everything. We really appreciate you guys being here today. Don't forget to check us out on social media. We've got plenty of social media platforms that you guys can check us out on. And we're on everything. So Soul Citizens, SOL Citizens, you'll find us everywhere. To my co-hosts, to Kalrati, to Kelosal. Appreciate you guys being here today. They always share great information. Fast Card, thanks for moderating out there for us. And thank you, everybody, once again for being here with us. And hopefully we'll see you guys real soon. We're going to be setting up a raid and going to, okay, you just changed up on me, alternate. I don't know if alternate means to change, but are we still good with Dark Hour, Fast Card? Let me know, because that's who I have us set up for. I already punched him in, so he's not saying anything yet. I know he's got a little bit of a delay. I guess we're okay with Dark Hour. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and go with Dark Hour. When you guys get over there, send some love, peace, love, and soul. We'll see you guys real soon. Take care. And have a great week. For those of you who in the States are celebrating Independence Day, have a great time, okay? We'll see you then. Take care. Peace.
Adios.
Happy
Ron Dog, yeah, we have 0 shields. The shields are down, so even if he tried to do that, he'd probably end up taking us out.